Hello again. Sorry about that. I had to cancel the stream, or I had to close the stream to do something real fast. So we're back. We're back. We're gonna be reading again. This time we are reading a short story by the name of Silent Snow, Secret Snow. This short story here. Let me just fix this a little bit. There we go. Short story by Conrad Aiken. This is an outstanding short story. That really is an amazing view of mental illness. Just absolutely crazy. Like this is spectabulous. Anyway, so thank you all for being here. As I said, today we are going to be reading the short story Silent Snow, Secret Snow by Conrad Aiken, if my voice holds out. So, let's do it. Just why it should have happened, or why it should have happened just when it did, he could not, of course, possibly have said, nor perhaps could it even have occurred to him to ask. The thing was, above all, a secret, something to be preciously concealed from mother and father, and to that very fact it owed an enormous part of its deliciousness. It was like a peculiarly beautiful trinket to be carried unmentioned in one's trouser pocket, a rare stamp, an old coin, a few tiny gold links found trodden out of shape in the path in the park, a pebble of carnelian, a seashell indistinguishable from all the others, distinguishable from all the others by an unusual spot or stripe. And as if it were any of these, he carried it around with him everywhere a warm and persistent and increasingly beautiful sense of possession. Nor was it only a sense of possession. It was also a sense of protection. It was as if, in some delightful way, his secret gave him a fortress, a wall behind which he could retreat into heavenly seclusion. This was almost the first thing he had noticed about it, apart from the oddness of the thing itself, and it was this that now again, for the 50th time, occurred to him as he sat in the little schoolroom. It was the half hour for geography. Mrs. Buell was revolving one finger slowly a huge terrestrial globe which had been placed upon her desk. The green and yellow continents passed and repassed. Questions were asked and answered. And now the little girl in front of him, Deirdre, who had the funny little constellation of freckles on the back of her neck, exactly like the Big Dipper, was standing up and telling Miss Buell that the equator was a line that ran around the middle. Miss Buell's face, which was old and grayish and kindly, with gray stiff curls beside the cheeks, and eyes that swam very brightly like little minnows behind thick glasses, wrinkled itself into a complexion of amusement. I see, the earth is wearing a belt or a sash, or someone drew a line around it. Oh, no, not that, I mean. In the general laughter he did not share, or only very little, he was thinking about the Arctic and Antarctic regions, which of course on the globe were white. Mrs. Buell was now telling them about the tropics, the jungles, the steamy heat of equatorial swamps, where the birds and butterflies and even the snakes were like living jewels. And he listened to these things. As he listened to these things, he was already, with a pleasant sense of half effort, putting his secret between himself and the words. Was it really an effort at all? For an effort implied something voluntary, and perhaps even something one did not especially want, whereas this was distinctly pleasant and came of its own accord. All he needed to do was think of that morning, the first one, and then of all the others. But it was so absurdly simple. It amounted to so little. It was nothing, just an idea, and just why it should have become so wonderful, so permanent, was a mystery. A very pleasant one, to be sure, but also, in an amusing way, foolish. However, without ceasing to listen to Miss Buell, who had now moving to the north temperate zones, he deliberately invited his memory of the first morning. It was only a moment or two after he'd waked up, or perhaps the moment itself, but there to be exact. But was there to be exact an exact moment? Was one awake all at once, or was it gradual? Anyway, it was after he had stretched a lazy hand up towards the headrail and yawned and then relaxed again among his warm covers, all the more grateful on a December morning, that the thing had happened. Suddenly, for no reason, he had thought of the postman. He remembered the postman. Perhaps there was nothing so odd in that. After all, he heard the postman almost every morning of his life. His heavy boots could be heard clumping around the corner at the top of the little cobbled hill street, and then progressively nearer, progressively louder, the double knock at each door, the crossing and recrossing of the street, till finally the clumsy steps came stumbling across to the very door, and the tremendous knock came which shook the house itself. Oh God, if the mailman knocked, that would be terrible. Mrs. Buell was saying vast wheat-growing areas in North America and Siberia. Deirdre had, for the moment, placed her left hand across the back of her neck. But on this particular morning, the first morning, as he lay there with his eyes closed, for he had for some reason waited for the postman, he wanted to hear him come around the corner, and that was precisely the joke. He never did. He never had come. He had never come around the corner again. For when at last the steps were heard, they had already, he was quite sure, come a little down the hill to the first house, and even so, the steps were curiously different. They were softer. They had a new secrecy about them. They were muffled and indistinct, and while the rhythm of them was the same, it now said something new. It said peace. It said remoteness. It said cold. It said sleep. And he understood the situation at once. Nothing could have seemed simpler. There had been a snow at night, such as all winter he'd been longing for, and it was this which rendered the postman's first footsteps inaudible and the later ones faint. Of course, how lovely! And even now it must be snowing. It was going to be a snowy day. The long, white, ragged lines were drifting and sifting across the street, across the faces of the old houses, whispering and hushing, making little triangles of white in the corners between the cobblestones, seething a little when the wind blew them over the ground into a drifted corner. And so it would be all day, getting deeper and deeper and silenter and silenter. Mrs. Buell was saying, land of perpetual snow. All this time, of course, while he lay in bed, he had kept his eyes closed, listening to the nearer progress of the postman, the muffled footsteps thumping and skipping in the snow-sheathed cobbles, and all the other sounds, the double knocks, the frosty far-off voice or two, a bell ringing thinly and softly, as if under a sheet of ice, had the same slightly abstracted quality, as if removed by 1 degree from actuality, as if everything in the world had been insulated by snow. But when, at last, pleased, he opened his eyes and turned towards the window to see for himself the long-desired and now so clearly imagined miracle, what he saw instead was brilliant sunlight on a roof. And when, astonished, he jumped out of bed and stared down into the street, expecting to see the cobbles obliterated by the snow, he saw nothing but the bare, bright cobbles themselves. Queer, the effects this extraordinary surprise had on him. Kept with him a sense as if snow falling about him, a secret screen of new snow between himself and the world. If he had not dreamed such a thing, and how could he have dreamed it while awake? How else could one explain it? In any case, the delusion had been so vivid as to affect his entire demeanor. He could not now remember whether it was the first or second morning, or was it even the third, that his mother had drawn attention to some oddness in his behavior. But my darling, she said at the breakfast table, what has come over you? You don't seem to be listening. How often that very thing had happened since. Mrs. Buell was now asking if anyone knew the difference between the North Pole and the magnetic pole. Deirdre was holding up her flickering brown hand, and he could see the 4 white dimples that marked the knuckles. Perhaps it hadn't been either the second or third morning, or even the fourth or fifth. How could he be sure? How could he be sure just when the delicious progress became clear, just when it had really begun? The intervals weren't very precise, and now all he now knew was that at some point or other, perhaps the second day, perhaps the sixth, he had noticed that the presence of the snow was a little more insistent, the sound of it clearer, and conversely, the sound of the postman's footsteps more indistinct. Not only could he not hear the steps come around the corner, he could not even hear them at the first house. It was below the first house that he heard them, and then a few days later, it was below the second that he heard them, and a few days later again below the third. Gradually, the snow was becoming heavier, the sound of it seething louder, the cobblestones more and more muffled. When he found each morning going to the window, after the ritual of listening, that the roofs and cobbles were as bare as ever, it made no difference. It was, after all, only what had been expected. It was even what pleased him, what rewarded him. The thing was his own, belonged to no one else. No one else knew about it, not even his mother and father. There outside were bare cobbles, and here inside was the snow. Snow growing heavier each day, muffling the world, hiding the ugly, and deadening increasingly, above all, the steps of the postman. "But my darling," she said at the luncheon table, "what has come over you? You don't seem to listen when people speak to you. That's the third time I've asked you to pass your plate." How was one to explain this to mother or to father? There was, of course, nothing to be done about it. Nothing. All one could do was laugh embarrassedly and pretend and to be a little ashamed, apologize, and take a sudden, somewhat disingenuous interest in what was being done or said. The cat had stayed out all night. He had a curious swelling on his left cheek. Perhaps somebody had kicked him or a stone had struck him. Mrs. Kempton was or was not coming to tea. The house was going to be cleaned or turned out on Wednesday instead of Friday. A new lamp was provided for his evening work. Perhaps it was eye strain which accounted for this new and so peculiar vagueness of his. Mother was looking at him with amusement as she said this, but something else. A new lamp? A new lamp. Yes, mother. No, mother. Yes, mother. School's going very well. The geometry is very easy. The history was very dull. The geography was very interesting, particularly when it takes one to the North Pole. Why the North Pole? Oh, well, it would be fun to be an explorer, another Perry or Scott or Shackleton. And then abruptly, he found his interest in the talk at an end. Stared at his pudding on his plate, listened, waited, and began once more. How heavenly, too, the first beginnings. To hear or feel, for he could hardly hear it, the silent snow, the secret snow. Mrs. Buell was telling them about the search for the Northwest Passage and Henrik Hudson, the Half Moon. This had been, indeed, the only distressing feature of this new experience, the fact that it so increasingly brought him into a kind of mute misunderstanding or even conflict with his father and mother. It was as if he had been trying to lead a double life. On one hand, he was Paul Hasselman and kept up the appearance of being that person, dress, wash, answer intelligently when spoken to. On the other, he had to explore this new world which had been opened up to him. Nor could there be the slightest doubt, not the slightest, that the new world was the profounder and the more wonderful of the two. It was irresistible. It was miraculous. Its beauty was simply beyond anything, beyond speech, as beyond thought. Utterly incommunicable. But how then, between the two worlds of which he was thus constantly aware, was he to keep a balance? One must get up, one must go to breakfast, one must talk with mother, go to school, do one's lessons, and in all of this, try not to appear too much of a fool, but if all the while one was also trying to extract the full deliciousness of another quite separate existence, one which could not easily, if at all, be spoken of, how is one to manage? How is one to explain? Would it be absurd? Would it merely mean that he would get into some obscure kind of trouble? These thoughts came and went as softly and secretly as the snow. They were not precisely a disturbance. Perhaps they were even a pleasure. He liked to have them. Their presence was something almost palpable, something he could stroke with his hand without closing his eye, and without ceasing to see Miss Buell in the classroom and the globe and the freckles on Deirdre's neck. Nevertheless, he did, in a sense, cease to see, or to see the obvious external world, and substituted for this vision, the vision of snow, the sound of snow, and the slow, almost soundless approach of the postman. Yesterday had been only at the 6th house that the postman had become audible. The snow was much deeper now. It was falling more swiftly and heavily. The sound of its seething was much more distinct, more soothing, more persistent. At this moment, and this morning, it had been, as nearly as he could figure, just above the 7th house, perhaps only a step or two above, at most, that he had heard 2 or 3 footsteps before the knock had sounded. And with each such narrowing of the sphere, each nearer approach of the limit at which the postman was first audible, it was odd how sharply increased the amount of illusion which had to be carried through the ordinary business of daily life. Each day it was harder to get out of bed, to go to the window, to look out, and as always, to look out at the, as always, perfectly empty and snowless street. Each day it was more difficult to go through the perfunctory motions of greeting mother and father at breakfast, to reply to their questions, to put his books together and go to school, and at school how extraordinarily hard to conduct with successful simultaneity the public life and the life that was secret. There were times when he longed, positively ached, to tell everyone about it, to burst out with it, only to be checked almost at once by some far-off feeling, as if some faint absurdity which was inherent in it. But was it absurd? And more importantly, by a sense of mysterious power in its very secrecy. Yes, it must be kept secret. That more and more became clear, at whatever cost to himself, at whatever pain to others. Mrs. Buell looked straight at him, smiling, and said, "Perhaps we'll ask Paul. I'm sure Paul will come out of his daydream long enough to be able to tell us, won't you, Paul?" He rose slowly from his chair, resting one hand on the brightly varnished desk, and deliberately stared through the snow towards the blackboard. It was an effort, but it was an amusing one to make. "Yes," he said slowly, "it was what we now call the Hudson River. This he thought to be the Northwest Passage. He was disappointed." He sat down again, and as he did so, Deirdre half turned in her chair and gave him a shy smile of approval and admiration. At whatever pain to others. This part of it was very puzzling, very puzzling. Mother was very nice, and so was father. Yes, that was true enough. He wanted to be nice to them, to tell them everything, and yet, was it really wrong of him to want to have a secret place of his own? At bedtime the night before, Mother had said, "If this goes on, my lad, we'll have to see a doctor. We will. We can't have our boy..." But what was it she had said? Live in another world? Live so far away? The word far had been in it, he was sure, but Mother had taken up a magazine again and laughed a little, but with an expression that wasn't mirthful. He had felt sorry for her. The bell rang for dismissal. The sound came to him through long, curved parallels of falling snow. He saw Deirdre rise, and had risen himself almost as soon, but not quite as soon, as she. Part 2. All right. No idea. All right. On the walk homeward, which was timeless, it pleased him to see through the accompaniment, or counterpoint of snow, the items of mere externality on his way. There were many kinds of bricks on the sidewalk, and laid in many kinds of pattern. The garden walls, too, were various, some of wooden palings, some of plaster, some of stone. Twigs of bushes leaned over the walls, little hard green winter buds of lilac on gray stems, sheathed and fat, other branches very thin and fine and black and desiccated. Dirty sparrows huddled in the bushes, as dull in color as dead fruit left in leafless trees. A single starling creaked on a weather vane. In the gutter besides the drain there was a scrap of torn and dirty newspaper caught in a little delta of filth, the word eczema appearing in large capitals. And below it was a letter from Miss Amelia D. Kravis, 2100 Pine Street, Fort Worth, Texas, to the effect that after being a sufferer for years, she had been cured by Kaylee's ointment. In the little delta, besides the fan-shaped and deeply runneled contents of brown mud, were lost twigs, descended from their parent trees, dead matches, a rusty horse chestnut burr, a small concatenation of sparkling gravel on the lip of the sewer, a fragment of eggshell, a streak of yellow sawdust which had been wet and was now dry and congealed, a brown pebble, and a broken feather. Further on was a cement sidewalk, ruled into geometric parallelograms with brass inlay on one end, commemorating the contractors who had laid it, and halfway across an irregular and random series of dog tracks immortalized in synthetic stone. He knew all these well, and always stepped on them to cover the little hollows with his own foot, and it had always been a queer pleasure. Today he did it once more, but perfunctorily and detachedly, all the while thinking of something else. That dog was a long time ago. That was a dog a long time ago who had made a mistake and walked on the cement while it was still wet. He had probably wagged his tail, but that hadn't been recorded. Now Paul Hasselman, aged 12, on his way home from school, crossed the same river, which in the meantime had frozen into rock. Homeward through the snow falling in bright sunshine. Homeward? Then came the gateway with the two posts surmounted by egg-shaped stones which had been cunningly balanced on their ends as if by Columbus and mortared in the very act of balance, a source of perpetual wonder. On the brick wall just beyond, the letter H had been stenciled, presumably for some purpose. H? H. The green hydrant with a little green painted chain attached to the brass screw cap. The elm tree with the great gray wound in the bark, kidney-shaped, into which he always put his hand to feel the cold but living wood. The injury, he had been sure, was due to the gnawing of a tethered horse. But now it deserved only a passing palm, a merely tolerant eye. There were more important things. Miracles. Beyond the thoughts of trees, mere elms. Beyond the thoughts of sidewalks, mere stone, mere brick, mere cement. Beyond the thoughts even of his own shoes, which trod these sidewalks obediently, bearing a burden far above of elaborate mystery. He watched them. They were not very well polished. He had neglected them, and for good reason. They were one of the many parts of the increasing difficulty of the return to daily life, the morning struggle to get up, having at last opened one's eyes to go to the window, to discover no snow, to wash, to dress, to descend the curving stairs to breakfast, at whatever pain to others. Nevertheless, one must persevere in severance, since the incommunicability of the experience demanded it. It was desirable, of course, to be kind to mother and father, especially as they seemed to be worried, but it was also desirable to be resolute. If they should decide, as appeared likely, to consult the doctor, Dr. Howells, and have Paul inspected, his heart listened to through a kind of dictaphone, his lungs, his stomach, well, that was all right. He would go through with it. He would give an answer for a question, too. Perhaps such answers as they hadn't expected? No, that would never do, for the secret must, at all costs, be preserved. The birdhouse in the apple tree was empty. It was the wrong time of year for wrens. The little round black door had lost its pleasure. The wrens were enjoying other houses, other nests, remoter trees. But this, too, was a notion which he could only vaguely and gazingly entertain, as if, for the moment, he merely touched the edge of it. There was something further on which was already assuming a sharper importance, something which already teased at the corner of his eyes, teasing also the corner of his mind. It was funny to think that he so wanted this, so awaited it, and yet found himself enjoying this momentary dalliance with the birdhouse, as if for quite deliberate postponement, an enhancement of the approaching pleasure. He was aware of its delay, of his smiling, detached, and now almost uncomprehending gaze at the little birdhouse. He knew what he was going to look at next. It was his own little cobbled street, his own house, the little river at the bottom of the hill, the grocer's shop with a cardboard man in the window, and now, thinking all this, he turned his head, still smiling, and looked quickly right and left through the snow-laden sunlight. And the mist of snow, as he had foreseen, was still on it. The ghost of snow falling in the bright sunlight, softly and steadily, floating and turning and pausing, soundlessly meeting the snow that covered, as with transparent mirage, the bright, bare cobblestones. He loved it. He stood still and loved it. Its beauty was paralyzing. Beyond all words, all experience, all dream, no fairy story he had ever read could be compared with it. None had ever given him this extraordinary combination of ethereal loveliness with something else, unnameable, which was just faintly and deliciously terrifying. What was this thing? As he thought of it, he looked upwards towards his own bedroom window, which was open, and it was as if he looked straight into the room and saw himself lying half awake on his bed. And there he was at this very instant. He was still perhaps actually there, more truly there than standing here at the edge of the cobbled hill street with one hand lifted to shade his eyes against the snow sun. Had he indeed ever left his room? In all this time, since the very first morning, was the whole progress still being enacted there? Was it still the same morning and himself not wholly awake? And even now, had the postman not yet come around the corner? The idea amused him, and automatically, as he thought of it, he turned his head and looked towards the top of the hill. There was, of course, nothing there. Nothing and no one. The street was empty and quiet, and all the more because of its emptiness, it occurred to him to count the houses, a thing which, oddly enough, he hadn't thought of doing before. He hadn't before thought of doing. Of course, he had known there weren't many that is on his own side of the street, which were the ones that figured in the postman's progress. But nevertheless, it came to him as something of a shock to find that there were precisely 6 above his own house. His own house was the 7th. 6. Astonished, he looked at his own house, looked at the door, which was the number 13, and then realized the whole thing was exactly logically and absurdly what he ought to have known. It's the same. The realization gave him abruptly and even frighteningly a sense of hurry. He was being hurried. He was being rushed, for, he knit his brows, he couldn't be mistaken. It had been just above the 7th house, his own house, that the postman had first been audible this very morning. But in that case, did it mean that tomorrow he would hear nothing? The knock he had heard must have been the knock on their own door. Did that mean, and this was an idea that gave him a really extraordinary feeling of surprise, that he would never hear the postman again? That tomorrow morning the postman would already have passed his house, and the snow by then so deep as to render his footsteps completely inaudible? That he would have made his approach down the snow-filled street so soundlessly, so secretly, that he, Paul Hasselman, there lying in bed, would not have waked in time, or waking would have heard nothing? How could that be? Unless the knocker should be muffled in snow, frozen tight perhaps, but in that case, a vague feeling of disappointment came over him, a vague sadness, as if he felt himself deprived of something which he had long looked forward to, something much prized. After all this beautiful progress, the slow, delicious advance of the postman through the silent and secret snow, the knock creeping closer each day, the footsteps nearer the audible compass of the world, thus daily narrowed as the snow soothingly and beautifully encroached and deepened. After all this, was he to be defrauded of the one thing he had so wanted? To be able to count, as it were, the last 2 or 3 solemn footsteps as they finally approached his own door? Was it all going to happen at the end so suddenly? Or indeed had it already happened, with no slow and subtle gradations of menace in which he could luxuriate? He glanced upward again, towards his own window, which flashed in the sun, and this time almost with a feeling that it would be better if he were still in bed of that room, for in that case it must still be the first morning, and there would be 6 more mornings to come, or for that matter 7 or 8 or 9. How could he be sure, or even more? After supper, the inquisition began. He stood before the doctor under the lamp and submitted silently to the usual thumpings and tappings. Now will you say, ah, ah? Now again, please, if you don't mind, ah. Say it slowly and hold it if you can. Ah. Good. How silly this was. As if it had anything to do with his throat, or his heart, or his lungs. Relaxing his mouth, of which the corners, after all this absurd stretching, felt uncomfortable, he avoided the doctor's eyes and stared towards the fireplace past his mother's feet in gray slippers, which protected from the green chair, and his father's feet in brown slippers, which stood neatly side by side on the hearth rug. There certainly is nothing wrong here. He felt the doctor's eyes fixed upon him, and, as if merely to be polite, returned the look, but with a feeling of justifiable evasiveness. Now, young man, tell me, do you feel all right? Yes, sir, quite all right. No headaches, no dizziness? No, I don't think so. Let me see, let's get a book, if you don't mind. Yes, thank you, that will do splendidly. And now, Paul, if you'll just read it, holding it as you would normally hold it. He took the book and read. And another praise have I to tell for this city, our mother, the gift of the great God, a glory of the land most high, the might of horses, the might of young horses, the might of the sea. For 1,000 of Kronos of our Lord Poseidon has throned here in pride, since in these roads first thou didst show forth the curb that cures the rage of steeds, and the shapely oar, apt to men's hands, hath a wondrous speed in the brine, following the 100-footed Nereids. O land that art praised above all lands, now it is for thee to make these bright praises seen in deeds. He stopped, tentatively lowering the heavy book. No, as I thought, there's certainly no superficial sign of eye strain. Silence thronged the room, and he was aware of the focused scrutiny of the three people who confronted him. He could have his eyes examined, but I believe it is something else. What could it be? This was his father's voice. It's only this curious absent-minded. This was his mother's voice. In the presence of the doctor, they both seemed irritatingly apologetic. I believe it is something else. Now, Paul, I would like very much to ask you a question or two. You will answer them, won't you? You know I'm an old friend of yours, eh? That's right. His back was thumped twice by the doctor's fat fist. Then the doctor was grinning at him with false amiability, while one fingernail he was scratching the top button of his waistcoat. Beyond the doctor's shoulder was fire, the fingers of the flame making light prestignation against the sooty fireback. The soft sound of the random flutter, the only sound. I would like to know, is there anything that worries you? The doctor was again smiling, his eyelids low against the little black pupils, each of which was a tiny white bead of light. Why answer him? Why answer him at all? At whatever pain to others. But it was all a nuisance, this necessity for resistance, this necessity for attention. It was as if one had been stood up in a brilliantly lighted stage under a great round blaze of spotlight, as if one were merely a trained seal or a performing dog or a fish dipped out of an aquarium and held by the tail. It would serve them right if you were to merely bark or growl. And meanwhile, to miss these last few precious hours, these hours of which every minute was more beautiful than the last, more menacing. He still looked as if from a great distance at the beads of light in the doctor's eyes, at the fixed false smile, and then beyond once more at his mother's slippers, at the soft flutter of the fire, even here, even amongst these hostile presences, and in this arranged light, he could see the snow. He could hear it. It was at the corners of the room where the shadow was deepest, under the sofa, behind the half-open door which led to the dining room. It was gentler here, softer at sea, the quietest of whispers, as if in deference to the drawing room, it had quite deliberately put on its manners. It kept itself out of sight, obliterated itself, but distinctly with the air of saying, "Ah, but just wait. Wait till we are alone together. Then will I begin to tell you something new, something white, something cold, something sleepy, something of cease and peace, and a long bright curve of space. Tell them to go away. Banish them. Refuse to speak. Leave them. Go upstairs to your room. Turn out the light and get into bed. I will go with you. I will be waiting for you. I will tell you a better story than little Kay of the skates or the snow ghost. I will surround your bed. I will close the windows, pile a deep drift against the door so none will ever again be able to enter. Speak to them? It seemed as if the little hissing voice came from a slow white spiral of falling flakes in the corner of the room, but he could not be sure. He felt himself smiling, and then to the doctor, but without looking at him, looking beyond him still. Oh, no, I think not. But are you sure, my boy? His father's voice came softly, coldly. It was a familiar silken warning. You needn't answer at once, Paul. Remember, we're trying to help you. Think it over and be quite sure, won't you? He felt himself smiling again at the notion of being quite sure. What a joke. As if he weren't so sure that reassurance was no longer a necessity, and all this cross-examination a ridiculous farce, a grotesque parody. What could they know about it? These gross intelligences, these humdrum minds so bound to the usual, the ordinary. Impossible to tell them about it. Why, even now, with the proof so abundant, so formidable, so imminent, so appallingly present here in this very room, could they believe it? Could even his mother believe it? No. It was only too plain that if anything were said about him, the merest hint given, they would be incredulous. They would laugh. They would say, absurd. They would think things about him which weren't true. Why, no, I'm not worried. Why should I be? He looked then straight at the doctor's low-lidded eyes, looked from one of them to the other, from one bead of light to the other, and gave a little laugh. The doctor seemed to be disconcerted by this. He drew back his chair, resting a fat white hand on either knee. His smile faded slowly in his face. Well, Paul, he said, and paused gravely, I'm afraid you don't take this quite seriously enough. I think perhaps you don't quite realize. He took a deep breath and turned as if helpless, at a loss for words, to the others. But mother and father were both silent. No help was forthcoming. You must surely now be aware that you have not quite been yourself of late. Don't you know that? It was amusing to watch the doctor's renewed attempt at a smile, a queer, disorganized look as of confidential embarrassment. I feel all right, sir, he said, and again gave the little laugh. And we're trying to help you, the doctor's tone sharpened. Yes, sir, I know, but why? I'm all right. I'm just thinking, that is all. His mother made a quick movement forward, resting a hand on the back of the doctor's chair. Thinking? She said, but my dear, about what? This was a direct challenge and would have to be directly met. But before he met it, he looked again into the corner by the door as if for reassurance. He smiled again at what he saw, what he heard. The little spiral was still there, still softly whirring like the ghost of a white kitten chasing the ghost of a white tail, and making as it did the faintest of whispers. It was all right. If only he could remain firm, everything was going to be all right. Oh, about anything, about nothing? You know the way you do. You mean daydreaming? Oh, no, thinking. But thinking about what? Anything. He laughed a third time, but this time, happening to glance upward at his mother's face, he was appalled at the effect the laughter seemed to have upon her. Her mouth was open in an expression of horror. This was too bad. Unfortunate. He had known it would cause pain, of course, but he couldn't have expected to be quite so bad at this. Perhaps if he just gave them a tiny, gleaming hint. About the snow, he said. What on earth? This was his father's voice. The brown slippers came a step nearer to the hearthrug. But my dear, what do you mean? This was his mother's voice. The doctor merely stared. Just snow, that's all. I like to think about it. Tell us, my boy. But that's all. There's nothing to tell. You know what snow is. This he said almost angrily, for he felt they were trying to corner him. He turned sideways as if so as to no longer face the doctor and to better see the inch of blackness between the windowsill and the lowered curtains, the cold inch of beckoning and delicious night. At once he felt better, more assured. Mother, can I go to bed now, please? I have a headache. But I thought you said, it's just come. It's all these questions. Can I, Mother? You can go as soon as the doctor has finished. Don't you think this thing ought to be gone through thoroughly? And now, this was his father's voice. The brown slippers again moved nearer. The voice was well-known punishment voice, resonant and cruel. Oh, what's the use, Norman? Quite suddenly, everyone was silent. Without precisely facing them, nevertheless, he was aware that all three of them were watching him with an extraordinary intensity, staring hard at him as if he had done something monstrous or was himself some kind of monster. He could hear the soft, irregular flutter of the flames, the click, click, click of the cluck, click, cluck, click of the clock, far and faint. Two sudden spurts of laughter in the kitchen as quickly cut off as begun. A murmur of water in the pipes, and then the silence seemed to deepen, to spread out, to become world-long and worldwide, to become timeless and shapeless, and to center inevitably and rightly with a slow and sleepy sound, but enormous concentration of all power on the beginning of a new sound. What this new sound was going to be, he knew perfectly well. It was going to begin with a hiss, but it would end with a roar. There was no time to lose. He must escape. It mustn't happen here. Without a word, he turned and ran upstairs. Not a moment too soon. The darkness was coming in long white waves. A prolonged sibilance filled the night. A great seamless sea of wild influence went abruptly across it. A cold, low humming shook the windows. He shut the door, flung off his clothes in the dark. The bare black floor was like a little raft, tossed in waves of snow, almost overwhelmed, washed over whitely, up again, smothered in the curled billows of feather. The snow was laughing. It spoke to him from all sides at once. It pressed closer to him as he ran and jumped exulting into his bed. Listen to us, it said. Listen, we have come to tell you the story we told you about. Do you remember? Lie down. Shut your eyes now. You no longer need to see much. In this white darkness, who could see or want to see? We will take the place of everything. Listen. A beautiful varying dance of snow began at the front of the room, came forward and then retreated, flattened out toward the floor, then rose fountain-like to the ceiling, swayed and recruited itself from a new stream of flakes, which poured laughing through the humming window, advancing again, lifted long white arms. It said peace. It said remoteness. It said cold. It said, but then a gash of horrible light fell brutally across the room from the opening door. The snow drew back, hissing. Something alien had come into the room, something hostile. The thing rushed him, clutched at him, shook him, and he was not merely horrified, filled with such a loathing as he had never known. What was this? This cruel disturbance, this act of anger and hate, it was as if he had to reach up one hand towards another world for any understanding of it, an effort of which he was only barely capable. But of that other world, he still remembered just enough to know the exorcising words. They tore themselves from his other life suddenly. Mother, mother, go away, I hate you. And with that effort, everything was solved. Everything became all right. The seamless hiss advanced once more. The long, white, wavering lines rose and fell like enormous whispering sea waves. The whisper became louder, the laughter more numerous. Listen, it said. We will tell you the last, the most beautiful and secret story. Shut your eyes. It is a very small story. A story that grows smaller and smaller. It comes inward instead of opening like a flower. It's like a flower becoming a seed, a little cold seed. Do you hear? We are listening. We are leaning closer to you. The hiss was now a roar. The whole world was a vast, moving screen of snow. But even now it said peace. It said remoteness. It said cold. It said sleep. I wasn't sure I'd make it through that. one could spend an eternity deconstructing all of the imagery in this story. What a wonderful story. I love this story. This is one of my favorite short stories of all time. Yeah. So, to all who came in, even in passing, or who came to listen to the bits and pieces that we went through today, thank you so much. I might be back later to play some games. Actually, I will play some games. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, regardless, have a wonderful night. I will be back again tomorrow doing some stuff. Maybe some more game streaming. We'll see. I think I'm going to start reading a book. Excuse me. I think I'm going to start reading The Hobbit. That will be a project. I think it's a good project. In fact, I'm going to put that up on the Discord. Let's go over to the Discord, to the channel. Okay. I think I will start a longer project on the reading streams. We will start reading The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. Tolkien or Tolkien? Is it Tolkien with an E or an I? Tolkien is both E-I-N, Tolkien. Sorry, Tolkien. Target Tuesday for stream number 1 in actual series. Neat. All right, there we go. We are going to start reading The Hobbit. That is what we are going to do. Yes. Yes. Well, I am going to cut this stream again here, and I will be back in a few moments, playing some games. But if you are watching this later, I hope you enjoyed the story. If you did, or if you didn't, please feel free to let me know in the Discord or any other place. Yeah, I would love to hear feedback. What you think I did well, what you think I did poorly. I promise I will not take offense to anything that you say. Well, actually, before I forget, let's move this back to the middle. There we go. Cool. I believe our next non-gaming stream will end up being a mathing stream. But for now, we're going to go and do some gaming. At any rate, I am going to stop this stream and maybe I'll just go to a waiting room. This may take a bit though. Not that one. True. I have to make a new BRB. This BRB is a little cringe. Anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna put on this and put on some music. Yes, I am. And then we will go from there in a little bit. Alrighty. Well, I'll see you in a bit. Bye. We're back. I want to. Sorry, just trying to do. There we go. Hey, that's important. Anyway, today is going to be the day. It's going to come back to you. By now, should have somehow. Anyway, what was it doing? By now, what was it? Today is going to be the day that's going to come back to you. I don't remember the song. I can't sing it anyway. Where did the thing go? Okay, we are trying a new game. This game is called Arena Breakout Infinite. Actually, I need to change all my stuff. Arena Breakout Infinite. Okay, anyway, starting a new game. There we go. Infinite. Now go to gaming. Continue. Let me make sure that there's updated appropriate there. Let's see. Plug in. Oh, Ariel's. Okay, that fixed itself. Okay. And now, am I not live on YouTube? Oh, I am. Okay. Did it update? It did not update. Darn it. Okay. We're going to break the stream and restart the stream, and that'll fix it. So we will be back in a second. Worked. Let's see if that worked. All right. Twitch is working, and YouTube is YouTubing. Why did that not update? YouTube. Hold on. Please tell me that. Did this seriously not change? Oh. Create a new broadcast. There we go. Start streaming. Now let's see if that kicks back in. There we go. All right, we are live. We're live with the correct thing. What? What is it? Is it seriously live on the wrong one? I swear, freaking, I'm gonna flip the table, man. No, go live. I'm going to flip YouTube. All right, YouTube, whatever, man. Or either that, or YouTube is just so far behind that it's not showing the proper winners live. Shouldn't though. I don't know, man. Anyway, the point being that we are starting a new game that I have never played before, called Arena Breakout Infinite. I think that's it. Yep, that's not the password set. Are you my password? Yeah. Okay. So, this is a game that I've never played before. So, apparently there's a whole intro section to it. Let's see. Game audio. Properties. It's not saying it yet. Breakout Infinite. There's that. And now, oh, that's loud. Properties. Breakout Infinite. Okay. And let me know if that is too loud. All right. Why is this not being visible? Ah. Okay. There we go. We've got audio. We've got video. We've got all the O's. All right. So. That seems good. Okie dokie. Wait. Why is... I'm gonna remove this. I'm gonna remove this. I'm going to add source.
Look alive, team. Let's focus on the mission. Convoy was ambushed, and we've got to figure out who's responsible. Watch out for each
Game
other.
capture.
Keep your head down. We're not looking to start a war.
Copy that.
Understood.
Game capture specific window. Arena Breakout Infinite. Okay. Where'd it go? Sorry, 1 second. Game capture. Video game. Okay. Okay. Oh, there it is. Wait, where is... Hold on 1 second. Sorry, just trying to fix that. Window. properties? No. Transform. Fit to screen. Okay, but why is that not showing? Okay. Right. And it is not, absolutely not showing on here, right? It is not showing on here. Okay. What the heck? Properties, capture specific window. So for some reason, this does not like to work well with that. All right. Roof. Let's do this. I don't like doing this, but we can do it this way. Okay. This does seem to be working if we go this route. Need to make it small enough to fit the whole thing. There we go. And now we want this to be swing bottom. This to be right above it. There we go. All right. All right. There we are. Okay. Bump up the field of view a little. Let's see. Image, aspect ratio, screen resolution, limited full screen. Sure. Okay. Post processing graphics sound. Oh, okay. Control. Okay, move forward. Crouch. Crouch should be control, and that should be hold. Prone. Q, sprint, left shift, hold, press direct. Z, camera, fire, aim, hold. Training is R, check training T. Okay, switch firing mode is B. Where's throw grenade? Oh, I don't. What was it? There was something else that was. Anyway. Alright. WASD WASD is move. Actually, I want that to be toggle. We actually want. All right. Bump this up a little. Oops.
Someone up ahead.
Rook, fire on my order. Fire.
Down. We're clear.
Well done. Rook, search the target. Knight, Bishop, heads on the swivel.
Okay.
See if there's anything useful.
Okay.
Nothing useful here. Let's keep moving.
Indeed. Have
Knight, give us a sit rep.
Area secure.
Bishop, cover our six. Roger. Rook, stay close.
Good.
Stay alert and watch your step.
okay. This is an extraction shooter, so looting is a big part of the gameplay. Why is there always someone named
Looks like
Bishop in this
won't
damn
be
thing?
as simple as we thought. Let's wrap up before we attract more attention. Hopefully they're just deserters. If they came from the fort in the northeast, we'd have a problem.
Oh, neat. And let's switch. I have to figure out what's going on with that. For some reason, control.
Let's keep moving. Quick. We probably put them on alert. Someone's nearby.
Oh, that's so bad. All right. So I noticed this on Battlefield 6.
Pick up the pace before things get worse. Job isn't done.
For some reason, Control A and Control W, I don't know if they're...
Target down.
and, there's some kind of... There's some kind of like Windows key binding or something. But they are just not. Oops. How do I use this? I don't know. You use the med kit. Yeah, so Control W, Control A for some reason do not work. And I'm not sure why. I thought it was just a Battlefield problem, but apparently it's not. I just figured it out. So
the same outfit as the others.
Not a local, and he's got good gear. Competition got the best of him.
Rook, search for anything useful. Quiet. Rook, clear the second.
I also want to change the scroll wheel to change weapon. T. T turns on and off a flashlight.
Nice stuff you got there. You having fun, mate?
Okay. So it'll automatically tell you when to use the med kit, I guess.
You can't run.
Oh, that's toggle. I'm gonna have to change that from toggle to hold.
Where'd you come from? On my mark. 3, 2, 1.
Clear.
Clear.
Search the room.
Sir, check this out.
Looks like a mission brief. Ajax. I know him. Let's go.
Ooh, what's this? Piece of candy? Uranium weapon case.
Might be worth something. Maybe.
We're leaving now.
Get your...
Could be valuable. Take it.
Yep. Alright, where are we going? Where are we going? Motel. Yay. We're stacking up. And fucking right. We are in the cutscene. Oh, cutscene. Lovely, lovely cutscene.
These bugs think they can do whatever they want, wherever they want. Then by all means, welcome to Kamora.
Alright, they've watched, or they've played, COD too many times. Gotcha. Like the scraggly. It's off. No. There you go. Baron the Beagle.
I'm Joel, your instructor. I'm going.
Objective. Need to do a couple things. One, control, cable bindings, lean right, this should be hold. Lean left, this should be hold. Good. I need, we are 660. I don't want that. I want change weapon. Next weapon. Where's next weapon? Breath. Check magazine to try more. Check weapon mode. Inspect weapon. Items. G. You can't just do like a next weapon. Previous weapon? I don't like that. Alright, well, we got those. Give me 1 second. I need to look something up here. I want to know why. Settings. Sorry, I need to see if I can fix something here. Capture bar. What's going on? Okay, to drive on that. I shouldn't need to do this, but wow. This is gonna in yes games L plus A and CTL plus W not working. Samsung Magician. So, I wonder if it's that. All right.
The dark zone is easy to enter, but hard to leave. Here's a list of equipment. Weapons and armor won't be enough. You'll also need plenty of ammo and meds if you want to get...
Military first aid kits. Yes, right. Just ammo. Alright.
That should do it. Remember, this place is dangerous. If you're
Alright, let's see if that fixed it. So, I have a suspicion that, based on some stuff I've read, that the issue was, that other program that was running. Right? So, yeah, there we go. All right. All right.
You are a brave one! You know what you're doing, do you?
Alright. That's healing. That's good. Oops. These, what's it? These. These. There. No. How do you know? Bitter. Okay. Yeah. Bandage. Alt T. F. I see. Brass pipe. Okay, so let's continue to look around here. I don't know, man. This doesn't quite have the appeal of Battlefield 6 for me, but I know what that's good for. What's my mission? What am I trying to do? I don't know what the beeping means. What does it mean? Oh, that's cool. Skateboard. What am I supposed to do here? I'm just kind of looting everything. I really don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I also don't know how to reload empty magazines. What's down this way? This goes back up. Okay. This side of it. There's just lots and lots of. Okay. Like, am I supposed to be going somewhere? What's my mission? Am I supposed to just wait out the timer? Honestly, I literally have no clue. Okay, I think we need that. Traction control outpost. So if we head towards the outpost, let's get over there. If we go around. Ah. Let's see. Alright, so if we head this way, that looks like an extraction point. Heard someone shooting. Don't see anyone. We're trying to get to the extraction point, is my understanding. Be down this way. I assume by the red smoke. It is called an extraction shooter. So I presume the goal is to get to an extraction point. Okay, hold. So we have to wait here for a minute. So presumably people can come and shoot you while you're at the extraction point. Okie dokie. So we found some valuable things. Got G cup. Okie dokie. Cool. Looks like. Ooh. Okay.
Looks like you know a thing or two about surviving in Kimona. Let me see what you managed to find. Sell this stuff to your contacts or on the market. Then use the coin to buy supplies and improve your odds. I've got some nice stuff too. Everyone in Kimona runs some sort of... Also, I need your help with a few
Garrison. Okay, weapons and ammo.
You can never have too much medicine. The dog zone.
Gotcha. Alright, so this is where you get supply kits from. Okay,
You can never have too much.
I've got some new things in.
okay, so this is. Okay. Storage, so if we go like this. I presume this is for the gunsmiths, which we don't have access to yet. This thing's rescue drugs.
I've got some new things in.
Equipment. Oh, I see. Right, and this is also where they have, I'm sure, the microtransactions. Noted. Okay, ammo. Tactical items, throwable ones, laser grenades, accessories. Yes, okay.
I've got some new things in.
So, I'm gonna say this on the market. Okay. Okay. So I guess that just sits on the market for a certain amount of time.
I've got some new things in.
Level for that, yeah. All we could get would be the shotguns, but I feel like we have a better shotgun.
I've got some new things in.
Okay. Alright. Now let's try one more round. Shooting range, no shooting range. Okay, so we're still stuck on farm. Alright, well, we'll keep with this. What is the supplies error? Oh. Okay. AK-74N. AKN.
Getting your gear ready can take some time, but what should you do when you're in a hurry? Take this quick kit, and you can exchange it to get a full set of gear from me. No matter your combat style, I'll always help you. My gear is limited, so I can
Gotcha. Okay, so we can run sniper, fire. Let's try that. Do the sniper, and then okay. I see. Alright, well, we'll just try the snipes and see how it goes. We'll just try it with a quick kit. I have a feeling okay. Juicer grenade. Alright. We're all the way up here, huh? Oh, we just have. Oh, that I don't like that. There's no closing weapon at all. Okay, there's one down. I heard some gunfire from down there. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, just an SMG. That's not bad. Good secondary weapon for a sniper. One of the main use cases, actually, for an SMG. Grease gun. See. Oh, I like the grease gun. This thing looks kind of cool. So, okay. Place some goodies in the gym bag. Bottle opener. Bottle opener. Where do I have a bottle opener? This is the guy that makes a lot of noise, right? Ooh, piece of candy. Bye. Anytime. We'll search the office floor. I don't know if these are useful. Take it off. That'd be an interesting way to lure people in. What is a game card? Whatever. Doesn't appear to be much good loot here. I can see this being quite difficult with a bunch of good players. I hear people. I don't see. I thought that was a person. Don't see any people, but I heard him. So the goal is grab as much loot as possible and find an extraction point. I wonder if they have lens flare when you're BDSing with a sniper, like Battlefield does. If not, I feel like snipers would get busted really fast. Especially since it seems to be a one-shot kill, at least with the bots. I don't know about others. I don't know what the TTK is on this game. Watch some streamers play this. Get a sense for it. I hear the loot. Oh, I guess. Okay. Assess it. Need assessing. That image looks like it is class customer should find retrieval device.
Did I hear that right?
Oh. We found a valuable item. What valuable item did he have? Where? Is it that? Is it that? No, it couldn't be that. I presume since no one else came running, that, interesting. Interesting. Someone's been looting here, huh? Okay. Three. So I need to just keep going down the road, I guess. There's like something over there. Oh, shit. Get the frack out of here. Someone shooting at me. Run away. There's an extraction point. Okay. They're still shooting. Let's get the frick out of here. Okay. I presume that was an actual player. It's like. Got a skateboard. Nice. We went to level 3. Beautiful. Okay. Wait, where's our... Wait. So where'd all the stuff go that we got when we went to the... Is it in here still? No. Wait. So I select this and this and on earth. Level up. Freaking. Get some goodies, and the gunsmith is unlocked. Hey. Good boy. That was new. So, okay. So the one we have right now, we've got what? AKM, no, AK-7. Alright, so this is... Vertical recoil is better, ergonomics is better, weapon stability is better, accuracy is better, fire stability is better, range is better, but the horizontal recoil is worse. this. What does I compare to this guy? That's actually really good. Oh, the AUG is better. The weapons throwing effect range. AUG is actually. Okay. Well. Okay. Well. This is a bit fun. I'm going to. Get out of here. It's a game. Alright, let's go. I'm gonna have a lot of learning to do on that. There we go. Okay, I'm still playing the music. Alright, I'm going to play a couple rounds of one other game. Then I'm going to call it for today. And that other game is War Thunder. So we're gonna go. War Thunder. Let me make sure that actually updated. Okay, that's still off good. Some tank shooting. There we go. Beautiful. All right. What? I said war. War Thunder. Beautiful. Now. Game capture. War Thunder. Here we go. And kablow, kablow. Kablow. Beautiful. There we are. Okay, get reward. Get reward. Get reward. It's time to get a reward. Ah. Ah. Boo. Alright. We have a couple new tanks. So I kind of want to test them out. So it's time to test them out. Yeah. Oh yeah. Alright. Let's start with the M10, shall we? Let's drop a bunch of that. Let's bump a bump of that, and let's go. Yeah. It's so much faster. Granted, it's so much faster because it has like 0 armor, but it's so much faster. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I don't even have an upgraded vehicle yet. First time playing with the M10. Oh yeah, that traverse is slow. Huh? Maybe I have to be careful about that. All right, so okay, seems to be good. So we're gonna get up to C over here. Who's shooting? Who's shooting? Who's shooting? What you shooting at? Dude, people like to just fucking open fire on nothing. Fucking stop that. It's like the machine gun nothing, and it's really annoying. Oh man, this traversal is slow. Holy moly. Nice. Okay. Let's wait until after that happens. There's someone coming this way. Yeah. Nice. 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 Nice, 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 nice. I like that you can just kind of run over anything in the terrain. Except like a building. It's funny. Okay, let's see what's over this way and see if we can like kind of sneak around the corner, hop out for a shot kind of thing. Okay. Noted. It's already blown up. What is over here? Don't see anything. Apparently there's something over here. I think it's just on the other side of that wall. don't think we're gonna get very far in that direction. I think it's SPAA over there. Um, I don't like all the burning tanks. I think there's a bad guy over here somewhere. Maybe not. Well, let's go in this direction, shall we? Lots of burning tanks. That's not disconcerting at all. We sit in this little corner. We're kind of hidden. This way. Ooh. What is that? Okay, so there are guys on the other side of that wall. I think there's somewhere literally right around this corner. Pretty sure there's an SPA. No? Interesting. I sworn there was one. Maybe they moved. They must have moved. So alright, so there's clearly lots of baddies over that way. So we're gonna hide over here. They're all going that way. Go. Stop being stuck on things. Oh. The fuck are you stuck on? There we go. Jeez. That was nuts. No idea what I was stuck on the train there, but yeah. That was fun. Let's see if we can cut across this way and sneak up behind anyone, maybe? I did not like being this open. Damn it. Exactly what I was afraid of. Granted, that was kind of a lucky shot, but let's see. What's the other new one? You. So this is a different Sherman, which I haven't played yet. I've been playing the M4A1. I think it's the M4A2. Question mark. Something like that. All right, let's get over to A if we can. Looks like we're capturing A. All right, noted. Its machine gun is attached to turret. aircraft, please take out enemy aircraft. Thank you. Much obliged. Alright, so I have a feeling, given the fact that someone's putting a whole bunch of artillery over there. Ooh, I don't know who was shooting us, but that was annoying. Wait, why do I only have... Oh no. We only have HE? Oh, that's not good. Oh, that's not good at all. Oh, we are not going to be penning anyone. Oh no. We will do like 0 damage to anyone. So that'll be great. Here, machine gun. Ooh, there's artillery over there. Man, someone is really artillery happy. Like, really artillery happy. That was a fast little guy, huh? Oh, come on. Dude. I don't know what it is about the Sherman front plates, like front armor plate, but it is awful. Like, instantly penetrated by anything and everything. Yeah, get him. Get him. Don't see anyone. Okay. Once this thing gets going, it moves pretty well. What? What? How did that? There's some silliness going on and things like that. Like, I hit him. Definitively hit him. Didn't do anything. Light tank hits me once, completely blown up. Granted that it was a gun carrier, not a true tank, but still. Feels like shenanigans. Shenanigans. Oh my god, you people stop. I feel like too many of our team are flying around like crazy people. It's just me. Might just be me. Having fun being pilots rather than being on the ground and actually taking objectives. Maybe that's just me. Am I being silly? I might be being silly. Freaking hate that. Okay. Frustrating. And now I lose. We were doing so well, too. Why do we have so many SPAs? Like, there are no enemy aircraft. We have like 4 SPAs. What? We have 2 aircraft and 2 SPAs, and they have no aircraft. Okay, all right. We have 1 like tank destroyer. Nice, nice. Good shot. Good shot. Good shot. But you're about to get wrecked by artillery if you don't move. What were you doing? No idea what he was doing. You might want to get out of there. Oh shit! He's hiding behind that guy. Someone's behind him. No, there's the artillery. Oh, you lucky duck! You need to move though. Okay, we got an M10. Guess it really matters because no one's like going after anyone. Nice, good dodge. Ugh, that was awful. Terrible. No good and very bad. Didn't quite get improved parts. Okay. Well, that was fun. All right. Anyway. I think I'm going to call it for the evening. I hope you all had a good time. I'm gonna call it for the evening, and I will see you again soon.